So to begin your Nevelson assemblage, just make sure that you have the board. So it should say Nevelson assemblage on it. Flip it over. You're going to paint this all, so it doesn't matter if the words are showing up um, on the board, but just so that you know you're using the right thing. This should be the last board that you have because we've used up the other ones for the other projects. All right, so for an assemblage, what you're going to do is it's basically like a collage using things. So using three-dimensional objects or things that you kind of like create form and texture out of. When Nevelson was creating her assemblages, she had a very specific aesthetic in mind. She uses a lot of linear shapes in her work. She uses a lot of geometric shapes in her work. You are not adhering to something so strict like her work is, but you do want to have some sense of organization and composition. The other thing I want you to kind of think about for this is that you really just want one layer. Maybe you can put one object on top of the other, but it shouldn't be like 5 objects deep. It should be, pretty much kind of spread out over the surface of the board so that you can see everything clearly. You're going to glue everything down on the first day, and then you're going to paint it all after it's dried. You need to plan for this. If you try to paint this and glue it on the same day, everything will fall off and you'll end up with a huge gluey paint mess in the room that you're doing this in. So you need to plan ahead and do the assembling and gluing on a first day and then allow that to dry at least 24 hours and then paint it on the second day. So I have kind of a variety of things here that I'm just going to start to work with so you can kind of see. I still have some of these popsicle sticks left over from the masks. So I'm going to start with that. And I would definitely recommend white glue for this versus a glue stick because you really want these objects to stay in place. So I'm just going to start to kind of lay that down. And I like the curved edge, so I'm going to actually do it curved edge to curved edge to kind of emphasize that curve a little bit more. Okay, and then I have some crayons, and like I said, the color of everything doesn't matter. You're going to just glue this down and let it set up, and then you're going to paint it all with that cup of paint that you have in your supplies. So put that there. And as you can see, I'm giving everything its own space. I'm not stacking a bunch of stuff. Now you want a variety of texture. You want a variety of form. I have this cardboard where I have the corrugation showing, so I'm going to definitely include that because that's a great texture. So anything really around your house that you can use for this is fine. Cardboard, crumpled up paper, foil, any kind of small objects like the nub of a pencil, or if you have an eraser that's kind of past its useful life, you can stick that on. I have a sponge here that I don't need, so I'm actually going to cut a piece of that. And once that's painted, you'll still be able to see that like spongy texture on there. So put that in the corner. And white glue should stick pretty much all of this stuff. I don't have anything that's plastic, so that might be a little bit tricky with the white glue, but for the most part, all the other objects should be fine. If you have like hardware, like metal nuts and bolts, and nails and things like that you want to include, that's fine. The boards are pretty heavy duty, so they'd be able to withstand all that. So I'm just going to take a little piece of paper and kind of crumple it up and make some crumples. So this is when your paper texture study comes in handy because I can kind of tear this up, right, and add this. And the nice thing about using the paper is that I can layer things on top of the paper. So I'll put that there. I have some gauze, which is like what they would use for like bandages. This was left in the art room. I inherited it from the art teacher before me. So I'm really just going to kind of crumple this up maybe twist it and kind of put it right in that center because I want that to be one of my focal points. I'm just going to do a huge puddle of glue and it will stick on. The nice thing about doing this too ahead of time is that when you start to glue stuff on, the next day when you come back to it, you can see what's loose, what needs to be glued down a little bit more, and kind of play with it a little bit before you start painting and seeing that everything is falling apart. All right, so I'm going to continue filling up my board. I'm going to go right to the edges, and then I will show you the next step for the painting process.